Yeah, my story isn't like a quest or anything. It's, not really conventional. So... Anyone who has started writing stories, especially film stories, is going to hear the phrase hero's journey. But what does it actually mean? Well, the phrase itself is a summary of the central theme of all myths, as studied and documented by Joseph Campbell in this book. Before we get started, this book is an anthropological text based on years of research into the myths produced by dozens of cultures all throughout history. It's a cumulative study demonstrating the unmistakable parallels between all cultures with regards to their myths. It's not a how-to book on writing stories. It's actually about the human psyche, and it really serves to demonstrate how we all share the same psychological DNA, as well as sharing biological ancestry. It's a good read, but I'm going to save you the time and just summarize what Joseph Campbell was getting at in relation to telling stories. So what he found is that all myths, as diverse and varied as they are in their specifics, all myths actually contain the same theme, and that is the transformation from ignorance to enlightenment. This can be thought of as a journey. It's often described within myths as a physical quest, because that serves the metaphorical nature of storytelling. But the journey itself is actually in the mind of the hero.
What have I done?
That's it. So even if you're writing a contemplative, art house, navel-gazing, anti-plot film, it does need to go somewhere eventually. Film is a time-based medium, so your beginning is going to be different to your end, unless it is just one continuous shot of nothing happening. But Andy Warhol's done that already, so I'm talking to you because you're probably trying to write stories, right? So it's probably still got embedded in it some obscure form of the hero's journey. All right, what is a hero exactly? The hero is an agent representing the quest for enlightenment. Why this theme? Well, the journey from ignorance to knowledge is a metaphor for the experience that all humans undergo as they mature. It's a metaphor for the unavoidable experience of life. That's why it's universal. Unless there is a human population somewhere on Earth that experiences time backwards or doesn't experience time at all, this theme is not going anywhere. It's just part of being human. The journey always begins when order is disrupted by chaos. This is the beginning, the inciting incident. Campbell refers to it as the call to adventure. It's the moment our hero's world, their equilibrium of ignorance, is disturbed. Oh my god, I'm in the Matrix. A machine from the future just tried to murder me. A shark killed a bather. I don't like water. I made my family disappear. A distress call from an unoccupied planet. Ripley, we just lost contact with LV-426. Oh my god, I want to bang her. What is that? A murder? And so on and so on. Now, this incident gives the hero a glimpse of the truth that there is more to their world than they first thought. There is a wisdom out there, the knowledge they would gain from maturing. However, it's painful for them, so they reject it.
I said no, and I mean it.
You see, it's a psychological constant in humans to recoil from the pain of growth that comes with life, and to want to return to the bliss of ignorance. We are actually conservative creatures. We don't embrace painful change willingly. Most cultures depict this form of ignorance as the womb in their myths, and that makes sense. Now, this act of recoil by the hero is referred to in Campbell's work as refusing the call. It doesn't have to be conscious, by the way. This turning away from the path cannot last because the hero has already glimpsed a bit of knowledge, the truth that's out there that they would obtain from the quest. So eventually they accept that order must be restored and only they can do it. So they go off on their spiritual quest. Of course, like life, the journey never turns out the way that the hero expects. Now, this is fundamental to your understanding of good storytelling. It's not really about finding the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail is a relationship with his father. It's not really about destroying the robot from the future. It's about fulfilling personal potential in spite of the stories that we tell ourselves about our limitations.
I mean, am I tough? Organized? I can't even balance my checkbook.
You see, even though the hero reluctantly follows the path to their goal, it's actually an unconscious goal that they're really after. And the specifics of that unconscious goal determine the theme of your story. Whoa, yeah, I know, some protagonists don't have an unconscious goal, like James Bond, for example, but we're talking about complex heroes who have a duality to them. They have a conscious goal and an unconscious goal. And the reason we're focusing on complex heroes is because they are the story. This is what people mean, I think, when people use the phrase character-driven story. It's a redundant phrase, and it's probably a placeholder for something else that they really mean. Who cares? The stories you're trying to write are always going to be character-driven. And because you are trying to write stories that have deep emotional resonance, the best way to achieve that is with a complex hero who has unconscious goals that are driving them through their choices. Now, you may not know what the unconscious goal is for quite a while as you write, and that's okay because you're still letting your unconscious mind spill out onto the page. This might actually take a couple of years, but eventually you'll come up with an ending that you just know deep down in your bones is right. It's unlikely to be the very first ending that you thought up or decided on or wrote. You might have written 4 drafts of the script before you finally switch the ending and you realize, oh my God, this is right. This is what it should be. Okay, that moment there, you need to lean into that. The reason you know that this is the right ending is because you finally recognized that it's about you. But this is getting into genre, so I'll save that for another video and do it properly. I just want to give you a high-level understanding of the hero's journey. So broadly speaking, the goal is always enlightenment, because that is the trajectory of maturation. Now, to obtain enlightenment, the hero must undergo suffering and ultimately sacrifice. I want you to think about your own life for a moment. Think about a time, probably in your childhood or puberty years, where maybe you witnessed something or experienced something, or maybe you just woke up one day and you just felt different and you realized, I can't go back to being a little kid anymore. You realize the truth that you can never go back to the bliss of total ignorance. It's painful to come of age because you know that you've shed the proverbial skin of innocence and it's lost forever. So just like in Plato's cave scenario, once you've witnessed knowledge, you can never go back to that old world. The cave is too small for you now because you know what's out there, you know what's outside. Now, the hero always returns and attempts to recover this original state of bliss, but that world is forever changed. A new equilibrium, a new order must be established with this new knowledge gained from the quest. And this new world that's created out of that is richer, wiser, and healthier. So the hero's journey is cyclical in structure. So that's a very broad summary of the hero's journey. You see, it's merely a deeply embedded psychological constant. And I want you to understand this stuff because I think it gets looked down on a little bit by certain elites because I think they feel that it's some form of an imposed convention. And any convention is a rigid structure that needs to be overturned or abandoned, or it's a thing of the past. The thing is, if you actually read Joseph Campbell, you'll see that the hero's journey is a human theme. It's there whether we like it or not, and it naturally influenced our myths. It's not some code for how to write stories, and if we could just break free of it, we'd see all these original stories. That's an art school fallacy. Is every single story a hero's journey? I don't know. But would it otherwise invalidate its importance? Something that really annoys me is when writers and filmmakers reject principles outright without even mastering them because they're falsely afraid that it's going to somehow destroy their unique creativity and that they'll become mainstream. they wish. If you were to take up sculpture, would you learn about materials and techniques, or would you just blithely dismiss them? What about ballet? Would you just wing it through Swan Lake? Good luck. It's the same with film writing. Yeah, sure, there are plenty of great films out there that don't adhere to these principles strictly, but it's extremely rare, and usually those filmmakers specialize in that kind of storytelling. Now, I don't buy into the whole notion of X event needs to happen by page 12. We all know that's bullshit. But there is a kernel of truth in that, and it's based on wisdom. Master these principles, and then you can worry about breaking the rules. I think McKee said that. He's right. So, who cares whether every story is a hero's journey or not? Most of them are. And your film that you're writing probably has a hero, so that means your hero must walk the path of the hero. That is, they must suffer, struggle, fail, and sacrifice what they hold most dear on their way from ignorance to enlightenment. If you embrace the hero's journey myth, it will help you write stories that connect to other humans on a deep emotional level. Isn't that what you want? It will help you write better films. Let me know what you think in the comments. Good luck with writing your hero, and as I always say, if you're feeling down about your abilities, just look at what gets made.